What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer, giving you guys another Call of Duty Black Ops 2 gameplay commentary. Today we're playing Team Deathmatch on Uplink, and this map is a remake done right. If you're gonna reuse an old map, at least do something to make it feel a little bit different, and that's exactly what they did with Uplink in Black Ops 2. They took Summit from Black Ops 1 and transformed it from a snowy mountain to a rainy jungle. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but I can appreciate that a lot more than what they did with Black Ops 4 and Black Ops Cold War, where they pretty much just took the original map as it was and copy and pasted it into the game and made no changes at all. To me, that just feels so lazy and uninspiring. I guess the whole idea of a map remake is inherently lazy because you're just recycling old content instead of making new shit, but Treyarch has gotten lazier over the years. Let's just put it that way. Over the past year, no real effort was really put into fixing Black Ops Cold War. It's the same shitty-ass game that it was in November of 2020. I've played every single Call of Duty game over the years, and honestly, I believe that Cold War is the second worst COD of all time. Modern Warfare 2019 is still the worst and probably always will be, but Cold War's not that far behind. Outside of zombies, I had no fun with this game at all. The multiplayer was straight garbage, and even zombies, it was good, but there wasn't nearly enough content. 4 maps in a year, that's pathetic. And I don't care though, because they're working on Vanguard, they gave us less content. I don't give a fuck. Regardless of the excuses, regardless of, oh, they were developing the game during a pandemic, Cold War was a major disappointment. And it really sucks because Treyarch was always my favorite COD developer. I would always look forward to Treyarch games the most. Even Black Ops 4, a lot of people hated on that game, but I thought it was a shit ton of fun. After Cold War, though, I have no idea how I should feel about Treyarch. Like, if I had to choose between Cold War, Modern Warfare, and Vanguard, like if someone put a gun to my head and say you have to play one of these games for the rest of your life, I'll pick Cold War without hesitation, because at least Cold War kind of resembles a Call of Duty game and plays like a Call of Duty game, unlike Modern Warfare and Vanguard, which play more like Battlefield and Rainbow Six Siege than an actual COD. But at this point, I'm very disappointed in all 3 of the COD developers, in Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Infinity Ward. I think they've all let me down. But I figured since Cold War is pretty much over now, and Vanguard is the newest Call of Duty, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of look into the future of the COD series and figure out what's next. Well, we already know what's next for Sledgehammer. It's Call of Duty Vanguard, which will release in a matter of days now. And we also know what's next for Infinity Ward. It's going to be a sequel to Modern Warfare 2019. And that should come out in 2022. But what about 2023? What about Treyarch? What's next for Treyarch? Well, to me, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think they're going to be doing a sequel to Black Ops Cold War. And it will likely be called Black Ops Cold War 2, which sounds like a mouthful, but it actually has the same amount of syllables as Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 both have 9 syllables. That's a fun fact for you. But honestly, I can't see them doing anything else in 2023 when you consider the fact that Treyarch hasn't made a game outside of the Black Ops series since 2008 with COD World at War, and even World at War is connected to the Black Ops series in storyline, with Reznov and a lot of the characters from World at War appearing in Black Ops 1. But it's been 13 years since Treyarch has made a game that does not have the title Black Ops in it, and I don't think that streak is going to end anytime soon. I think they're going to stick with the Black Ops series as much as they possibly can, and this is a really, really early prediction. I think in 2026, we're going to get Cold War 3. I don't think Cold War was a one-off game. I think we're going to get an entire trilogy of Cold War games, just like we're likely to get a trilogy of Modern Warfare reboot games. Cold War may not have been as successful as Modern Warfare 2019, but it was still very successful. Even though a lot of people, including myself, didn't like the game that much, it still sold a lot of copies. So naturally, we're going to get sequels. And I think in the same vein as Black Ops Cold War was a direct sequel and tie-in to Black Ops 1, I think that Cold War 2 is going to be the same thing, but for Black Ops 2. So you know how the Cold War campaign featured Alex Mason and Woods and a lot of the old Black Ops 1 characters and followed up after the events of Black Ops 1 a few years later in the 1980s? Well, I think Cold War 2 is going to take place in 2030 or 2035, and the protagonist of that game's campaign is going to be David Mason, Alex Mason's son, who was also the protagonist of Black Ops 2. What was his partner's name? Mike Harper, the one that was played by Michael Rooker. I think that character will be part of the story as well, but just like the first Cold War game, the voice actors will probably be recast and will be played by different actors, but will be the same exact characters. It won't be like a reboot like Modern Warfare, it will be a sequel slash prequel. It would be a sequel to Black Ops 2, but a prequel to Black Ops 3. So that's what I think we're gonna get. As far as single player goes, I think that's the direction they're gonna be headed in. As far as multiplayer goes, that's gonna be a lot more difficult to predict. I mean, of course, we're gonna get a lot of the old Black Ops 2 weapons like the AN-94 and the SCAR and the LSAT, Ballista, XP AGR, Remington shotgun, Peacekeeper. Just like how Cold War brought back a lot of the weapons from Black Ops 1, I imagine that Cold War 2 would bring back a lot of the guns that people loved from Black Ops 2 and probably add in a few new ones as well, because it's going to be even further into the future, a few years, but still, it'll be further into the future than Black Ops 2, so they'll be able to create a couple of new guns as well. We're probably also going to get the classic streaks from Black Ops 2, like the Stealth Chopper, the AGR. So based off Cold War and based off of what Cold War 2 is probably going to be, it's kind of easy to figure out what they're going to do with the Cold War 2 multiplayer. They're going to base it more off of Black Ops 2, even though the first Cold War game, despite supposedly being a sequel to Black Ops 1, has a shit ton of Black Ops 2 maps, like Express, which is a futuristic map in 1980. Yeah, that was weird. So because they remade a lot of Black Ops 2 maps already in the first Cold War, they're probably going to go back to Black Ops 1 and some of the older games to kind of make up for it. It would be even better if they stopped doing remakes altogether, but you know that's not going to happen. And you know that skill-based matchmaking is not going to go away. You know that the streak system is probably not going to go away either, because nobody liked it in Cold War, but they kept it in there the entire life cycle anyway, so who's to say they're going to listen to us this time? They're probably not going to. So same shitty streak system from Cold War, I predict, where they no longer reset after you die. We're probably also going to get more fire team and combined arms, since those modes were relatively successful in Cold War and people played it a lot. But with Cold War 2, we'll probably have even more players, because I predict that Cold War will be the first game in Call of Duty history to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. It'll also be on PC, of course, but it will not be out on PS4 and Xbox One. I think that Modern Warfare 2 will have a last-gen release, but I do not think that Cold War 2 will. So that could potentially mean that Cold War 2 will have more room to innovate and create new experiences with that new technology at their disposal and not being limited by the last-gen hardware. But considering that Infinite Warfare was the first game released that was exclusive to the 8th-gen consoles, we know that just because a game is exclusive to the new consoles doesn't inherently mean that it's going to be a better game. And I like Infinite Warfare, but innovative and Infinite Warfare do not belong in the same sentence. I do think there will be some balancing changes from Cold War into Cold War 2. Like, I think the whole idea of Cold War having no flinch, I don't think that Cold War 2 is going to do the same thing with that. They're probably going to bring back flinch in Cold War 2 and probably also get rid of shotgun secondaries. But here's my big prediction. I think that Treyarch's next Call of Duty game is going to be using the Modern Warfare engine instead of the older engines. So it's going to have the same feel as Modern Warfare, being more of a tactical, realistic, slower-paced game. And with the newer engine, it won't feel very much like the older games. It won't feel anything like Black Ops 2. It won't even feel like Cold War 1. It'll pretty much be Modern Warfare Black Ops. I hope that I'm totally wrong on this, but I think the only reason why the first Cold War game didn't use the Modern Warfare engine is because it wasn't ready yet. Like, they were already working on their game before the Modern Warfare engine was even finished, and before Modern Warfare was finished. Activision probably has every intention on having all three of the COD developers using the same engine, so the experience is more streamlined between all the CODs. Now, of course, there'll be some Treyarch flavor into Cold War 2. It's going to have a slower TTK than Modern Warfare and Vanguard. It's going to, have some elements of the Black Ops series and some gameplay mechanics of those games. But ultimately, it's going to feel a lot like Modern Warfare, I think, which is definitely a bad thing. Weapon mounting, doors, terrible visibility, all the stuff that comes with Modern Warfare and the Modern Warfare engine is going to rear its ugly head into the next Treyarch game, unfortunately. And field upgrades, let's not forget about that garbage. Dead silence not being a perk, fucking loud-ass footsteps. Cold War 2 will be a camper's wet dream. The Modern Warfare fans will have the time of their fucking lives, but Black Ops fans, people who like the older games, are not going to have fun at all. They gotta use the Modern Warfare engine, because it'll be all about that Warzone integration. They care more about Battle Royale than 6v6 multiplayer. They've made that crystal fucking clear in recent years. And it'll be a lot easier to integrate the Cold War 2 content into Warzone, which I think, yes, it will still exist in 2023. If Fortnite still exists today, Warzone will still exist in another 2 years. No doubt about that. But it would be much easier to port the Cold War 2 weapons and content if it's using the same engine as Warzone, the Modern Warfare engine. And then, of course, Cold War 2 will also have zombies. At least that part of the game has a chance of being halfway decent, but who knows about that. Even with zombies, Treyarch has been pretty inconsistent over the years in terms of quality, so I have no idea what to expect from that. But yeah, as far as the entire game, I have no reason to be an optimist. With what we've been getting over the past couple years, how should I expect it to be any different in the future? Especially since people like these fucking awful games. People like Modern Warfare. People like Vanguard. People liked the first Cold War. Maybe I'm just out of touch. Maybe, me complaining about skill-based matchmaking, me complaining about streaks not resetting when you die. Maybe I'm just outdated. The new gamer likes that kind of stuff, so maybe I just have to deal with it. Call of Duty just is not for me anymore. And maybe I just have to accept that. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think we're going to get from Treyarch following Cold War in 2023. Do you agree with me that it'll be a sequel to Cold War and it'll be Cold War 2, or do you think it'll be something entirely different? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.